Hello. Today's topic is why didn't my child do better in this mock? A number of the marks have gone down. A number are creeping up, and some are sort of doing this in different things, but a number have gone down. And there are no real surprises to this, and that's why we do this third mock. Because very often what happens is they're getting better and better and better come Easter, and then they kind of think it's in the bag. That's it, I've got it. Nobody ever says that, but they think I'm in sort of 65%, 70 next time, pass, and then it goes down. So I have my notes. Firstly, it's very typical that the strongest subject that you start out with becomes your weakest. That's normal because I think it gets a bit neglected. And I've only ever had one pupil who in the final exam ended up with 3 scores exactly the same. There always will be a weakest. And there's, you'll do better at those subjects that you're working harder at. That's why you work harder at them. And let's have a look at the web statistics. Since Easter, if we compare just before the mocks or as the mocks started with Easter, we won't compare them now because next year's lot are now in the statistics. But just before, the daily math sheet was about half of what downloads as to what it was at Easter, and the videos that were being watched were down to a quarter of that which was happening at Easter. What else can we say? The children are getting quite tired. They've had a lot of school plays, things that are happening in the evening, and of course they're not doing a lot of maths or English at the moment. So again, compare that with just before Easter when the year 6s were doing their SATs. This rubbed off on year 5. It's the sort of the powerhouse of the pinnacle of when they wanted to do well. And then in the summer term, it's all sports, it's plays, it's swimming, it's visiting secondary schools, it's visits in general to Longleat and things, and then all the various clubs and things that they belong to, and a lot of them belong to a number of them. They are doing their camping weekends, again their plays, their performances, and some of the producers get very precious. I mean, they forget that who's buying the tickets is grannies and mums, and they're going to buy them regardless. They seriously seem to think it's a West End production. It's not. It's not running. It would be for 2 or 3 nights. They won't sell more if the ticket is, more tickets if the play is good or bad, because it's grannies and mummies and daddies going to support their children, even if they're there picking their nose and scratching their bums. So that's all in the mix. The other thing was written workings. It was really, really apparent that the children that did best had most written workings. The bottom ones had virtually no written workings, and it's a straight gradation between the two. Children are not using written workings. I would say it's very common for all of the wrong questions to have no written workings. And you can say, well, the children are getting so much better than they were in November. Yes, they are. But, I mean, supposing at the beginning they could do this much of a maths question, which was, say, that wide, they get it wrong. But at this stage, instead of getting that much, they're getting that much right. But there's still that little bit at the end that they're getting wrong. They're not carrying the 1, or they just said how many did do it rather than don't do it. So it's still wrong. But they were much closer to getting it right. But if there are no written workings, I can't tell you what's gone wrong there. And it just doesn't work. Use your written workings. The children with the highest marks have got the highest. It's covered, absolutely covered with it. So go with that. So what are we going to do with the summer on this one? It's quite good. You can choose how to spend your time. You're not obliged to go on these various things, and so your choices are your priorities. But remember, the exams for both schools is more or less immediately that you go back to school, just when you're really tired after 2 or 3 weeks of getting up earlier. So don't sleep in over the summer. Don't sleep in. But no, your choices are your priorities. and no one can wee in your cornflakes, because you make your own choices on this one. Bye bye.